lost you for a second. There you go. Okay. It's figuring out its stuff. All right. I want to thank you for coming to join me, Kent, on Chatting Underground, where we like to bring the below ground above ground. We definitely classify what your band is doing as being part of the underground music scene.
Cool.
It's just, it's not like a, yeah, like, I mean, I feel like you guys are probably well known in this like area that we live in, but like outside of that, you're very, people would just be like, who?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes
so
time.
You
Even
are,
here.
oh, even here. So you do the vocals for a band called BrotherKent.
Correct.
And you guys are located and based out of Durham. And I looked up a little bit of what I could on your social media today. And you guys are all business on that page.
Seems like it, yeah. I try.
And I did take note, though, at the end of your guys' bio that you refer to yourselves as an indie-edged Americana with a short storytelling at hand. That's kind of like your tagline. How did you come up with that kind of a tagline for yourselves?
Actually, Josh, the guitar player, is a writer. So he wrote that, yeah. Professionally, that's what he does. Yeah.
Oh,
he went to UNC for, So
writing. Oh, okay. That's cool. So that's
I'm good with the writing of songs, but not the that kind of stuff. I'll let that
okay. All right. So you guys are made up of 4. I did see that.
Right.
But you share a guitarist with another band. No, it was your drummer?
Drummer, yeah.
It's a drummer.
Yeah, Chris plays with a lot of bands. In fact, we did the Carborough Music Festival at the end of September, and he played with 4 bands in a row. the Blusterfields he plays with, and then he plays with us, and he filled in for Jack the Radio, and he plays with the Gone Ghosts. So they put all 4 of the bands in a row, one after another, and he played 4 sets in a row. So yeah,
blows my mind that people have the mental capacity to remember that much.
Yeah, it's a lot.
That would just be, I feel like my brain would be very overwhelmed.
Yeah, mine too. It's definitely, sometimes we play some like shows that are maybe 2 hour and a half or 2 hour and a quarter sets or something like that. So it's close to 3 hours of music, and it's a lot. It's a lot to remember. It's a lot to, especially the lyrics. Like, yeah.
Oof, that would be, yeah, that is so much. Wow. Props to him for being able to do that. Props to the rest of you for being able to keep up with those really long stage sets that you do, because just doing car karaoke wears my voice out.
Yeah, but sometimes it gets down to the end. I try not to put the songs where I have to really belt or strain a lot. I try to keep them sort of more in the beginning and not leave them for the end of the second set, because it can be a little rough.
That's crazy.
I get a little hoarse. And I drink a lot of throat coat tea.
Okay. The
mixture
like a honey
of throat
tea?
Coat. Yeah, it's like an herbal honey. Yeah, I put honey in it, but it's an herbal tea. Yeah.
Okay.
That and a little bourbon it's like a hot toddy. It's nice. It soothes the throat a little bit.
That works. Again, props to you guys, because that is just a lot. Physically, mentally, that would be just a lot. Yeah. That's so much.
It's fun.
I also noticed that as far back as I could see that you guys had been collaborating on this project was September 2021. Is that kind of where it started, or did it start?
It started a little before that, actually. So just to give you a little background beyond that, I played in bands in my 20s, started writing songs in my late 20s, and then I got married and moved around a lot for a while. My ex-wife was a reporter, So that's what brought me here. I moved here to Durham in 2006. But the couple years before that, I didn't really play guitar at all, even for like even just sit with an acoustic guitar and play. I had like probably 8 years. So when I moved back here in 2006, I started to put something together and played with some people. Started writing songs again, and then I moved to New York, to Brooklyn for 7.5 years. Thinking, so I did that for my ex-wife's job, but I was kind of thinking, oh, it'd be a good place to get into the music scene. Um, and I started to try and put a band together there. It's just like logistically really difficult and also incredibly expensive to pay for like rehearsal spaces and just to get gear around from place to places. It's just difficult. But I kept writing songs. I did a lot of open mics, kind of on a weekly basis. And then when I moved back, I got divorced, got remarried to someone else who you know now, and we decided to move down here. And as soon as I got down here, I started doing open mics again and meeting people. And then I decided to start putting the band together in like the fall of 2019.
Okay.
And I met Josh, the guitar player, in like early 2020, like a month before COVID. And then COVID happened. And we actually had we put out an EP in I think 2020 or early 2021 that was recorded with a different drummer, and Josh played bass and drum or guitar. And then eventually, it was probably the summer of 2021 when I found the Chris and Pierre, the bass player.
Oh, okay. I
So
assumed for some reason that you and Pierre had been like lifelong friends.
no, I found all of the guys also on. I found Chris, the drummer, through a Facebook group, and Josh and Pierre were both Craigslist, which isn't
Wow.
supposed to work anymore, but it worked.
Right?
Yeah.
That's
So
crazy.
yeah, I met him. Yeah, in the summer of 2021, and I actually auditioned him with the other drummer. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
but we've been going
That's
pretty good since then. We played our first gig literally like 2 months after Josh and Pierre came on board, and yeah, we've been going pretty steady ever since then.
so
Little
it's
pause.
I feel like 2 months is kind of like here, be a quick study.
Yeah, it was funny. The somebody that was at that show didn't see us for like a year or so after that. And then when he came and saw us again, he was like, wow, you guys got so much better. I was like, oh, yeah, it was our first gig. We'd only been together 2 months. It's a lot. No matter how good you are, it takes reps to really, like
Yeah.
anything.
Oh yeah. Practice, to say practice makes perfect.
All right.
Or I don't know that there's ever a point where for me when I see something I'm like, "Oh, that was perfect." I can always be like, "But how can I do it better?" Like
Yeah.
always in
Yeah,
that
it should be
that
that way.
process of like perfection that's
Right.
maybe unattainable. I don't know if it's like music is the same way.
I think it is, I think like, for me at this point, I just try to like, I want it as long as it feels good, you know what I mean? I'm good. It doesn't have to be perfect. I want it to be as perfect as possible, but like, if I feel good throughout the show, it's a good show to me. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Unless I make
Oh,
major
most definitely.
mistakes. Although the other thing, like I remember a gig in my 20s where like it was being recorded and I didn't know it. And I, at one point, thought I just made such a huge mistake that I literally stopped and like, had like a little like moment with myself before I started playing again. And I was like, that was the most embarrassing thing in the world. And I went back and watched the tape. I could barely even tell that I made a mistake. It was like nothing. But in my head, it was this huge, overblown, everybody saw it. I stopped playing. And it was, that's what we do to ourselves.
Oh
So
yes. Yes,
As long as I
I
can
see
stay away
that.
from that stuff, I'm good.
No, I totally get it. I understand. Growing up, like I tried piano and I was like, piano is not for me. I am not a note reader like this. So I switched to doing like vocal lessons through my aunt.
Mhm.
And so we would do like concerts and recitals and stuff like that. And I get that because there's a point where she had me do the Lord's Prayer. And at one point I was like, after we got done, I was like, I totally messed that center part up. And she was like, no, you did, it was fine, it was perfect. I was like, in
Yeah.
my brain. So I get what you're saying, like in my brain I had missed that one key and the whole thing was gone.
Yeah. It's like the ego
So
wants you to fail, you know? You just have
definitely.
to stay above it.
Yeah, so you've been doing music for what, roughly 20 years?
Yeah, a little more than that. I mean, yeah, on and off. Yeah, I would say total 20 years. Yeah.
Okay, have you
I mean, I
always kind
started when
of,
I was like, I think I started playing guitar when I was 17.
okay.
Um, and then, yeah, I always wanted to play. I was always like obsessed with music since I was in like third grade or something. So I don't know why it took me so long, but once I did it, it's like the only thing I did. I would play for like 6 hours a day, you know? Even like after I went through art school and got a job, I would like come home and play for like a couple of hours every night. Like it was really all I actually put off going to art school for a year because I knew I needed a better guitar. So I took a job and I just saved up to get like a good guitar so that I'd be okay for a couple of years, you know?
That's okay. I like it though. I'm that's just that's a commitment to the passion.
Yeah. No, I was all in immediately. Yeah.
So, along that kind of journey, did you ever find that music was a therapeutic outlet for you?
Yeah, always.
Always.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay, I know that like if I'm having a bad day sometimes if I just turn on the music and do my dishes, it has like a therapeutic kind of quality. So I'm always interested in how other people view and take in the music, whether
Yeah.
they're putting it out in the world like you are or they're just kind of a consumer of it.
I'm pretty much always listening to music. Uh, Not when I work. I used to. I mean, I do sometimes, but um, I've got other things to take care of during the day sometimes, so it just gets in the way. But as soon as I go downstairs to start dinner or whatever, the stereo goes on, and yeah, it's constantly going. I get up in the morning on a weekend. The first thing I do is turn on music.
Does
You
it echo through your house? Your house is huge.
know. I don't know. I never come upstairs at that point. This house throws its voice. You can never tell where people are in the house. You think they're in the next room and they're like upstairs. It's crazy.
It's
But
a gorgeous house though.
thank you. But I forgot what I was saying. Yeah,
There's a
I'm constantly listening to music, and it literally is like I this is annoying, but I wake up in the morning with songs in my head, and I don't know where they come from, and they're often um, songs that I really dislike, and I can't get it out of my head, and I'll be singing it in the morning while I'm making coffee, and it's like, where did that come from? Like my wife is just like, that's just so obscure that you would be singing that, and I'm like, it's what was in my head when I got out of bed, and it could be, I mean, it's crazy. I don't even know, I can't even think of an example, but it would be like annoying disco songs from the 70s,
oh
you
my
know,
goodness. You have
like
some crazy earwigs.
yeah, I don't know what it is. There's always sometimes it's like commercial tunes or like show tunes that I don't even really know, but it's in my head. Yeah,
Hmm.
I don't know where it comes from, and it
You
literally is
haven't
when I wake up in the morning, like
it's the party in your
before
sleep.
I even get to brush my teeth. It's like some song is playing in my head, so which is probably
Well,
why I
we
started writing them eventually.
Yeah, I mean, I just what I was going to ask if like sometimes you have something in your head and it, maybe has like a tune to it that then creates something down the road where you're like,
Yeah,
oh, this kind of
yeah,
creates this feeling, and now I can put this annoyance on paper.
yeah. I know most of the. I think a lot of people write songs by like they take out an acoustic guitar or maybe an electric guitar, but depending on what kind of music it is. But and they'll play until they come up with a melody or a chord progression that they like, and they'll make a song out of that, and then they'll go and write the lyrics, or maybe they'll hum some counter melodies while they're playing this thing, and sort of slowly build it. And the last thing to really finish is the lyrics. They may have like sketches of ideas, but they don't have. And it's all. I mean, I know people that write a lot of songs that are good, really good actually, but they're not really thinking the way I do, where it's like a narrative. It's just something that fits to the
Okay,
music, you know.
that's
I went to in 2006. I went to the Steve Earle, who's like a outlaw country songwriter, um, who's written a lot. He's a great songwriter. He does a songwriting camp in Adirondack Mountains in New
okay.
York, and I went there for like I think it was 4 days. It was really cool. You get to hang out with him and like you know listen to lectures about how to write songs. But the point of it is, I remember hearing so many people say like, I just feel like lucky if I can get it to rhyme, and I was like, that's not good enough. like you
Right.
know. So instead of writing like an acoustic guitar part or whatever, I build the whole song in my head. Like it starts with the words, and it's usually like the first couple lines of the first verse, and then I'll be like, okay, what is this about? What does this mean? And I'll in my head and sort of in my notes on my phone write the whole thing. And then I already have like a melody or an idea of the music in my head. But sometimes it takes me weeks to actually sit down with a guitar and be like, okay, what is this? So it just sort of floats in my head for a long time.
And then do you take that and like collaborate with the rest of the group
Yes.
on how it sounds like when you have a better grip on like this is what I'm hearing in my brain,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
how do
Usually,
we tweak this?
you're right. So that I think it. I've always let everybody like play their own parts. I don't ever tell anybody what to play or like I never came in. I don't think I've ever come in and said like this song should have this kind of feel. I just I'll like give them a maybe record on my phone usually just on the recorder thing. I'll just record a version of me singing it with the acoustic guitar and send it
Okay.
to everybody and give them a week or so, however long till they get to it, and then they come in and we just play it and then start breaking it down more and more over the last like year and a half, I'd say, where we it's really more of a collaborative. And the most recent one we did, I had a verse and solo section that we just like got rid of and came up with something else on the spot because it just didn't work. So, and the arrangement change, all that stuff. Yeah, from that point on, it's very collaborative, which is good.
Okay.
I think that makes me happy. Like, I really enjoy that part of it.
I feel like that's how you would keep the music and the band strong.
Yeah, I hope so.
From an outsider kind of looking in, when I look at bands that break apart, I have to wonder if the reason that they're falling apart is because they've lost the ability to collaborate effectively.
Yeah, I think there's probably some truth to that in a lot of cases. And I think in a lot of other cases, there's somebody that's sort of taking control of it and, dictating what everybody does. So,
Right.
and I've been in that situation as a guitar player where, yeah, it's not a very happy place to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't feel like that would be a place that
You don't
I
feel like you're
personally
part
would
of
ever like
you
want
know
to be. So,
yeah.
Okay. Um, and you kind of like touched base on it when you said that you really hadn't started your music journey until you were 17. So did are you kind of what you would consider like more self-taught?
Yeah, I mean, I took like some lessons, and I think they tried very hard to like, and I did learn like a little bit about reading music, and they really tried to get me to go down that road. But right from the beginning, I was more, you know, yeah, I was just I've never been able to like wrap my head around it. I know what works, and it was a long process of sort of figuring things out, but I kind of did it in a different way. So when I don't know what key I'm in, I know I'm in key, but I usually don't. I mean, I can figure it out if I really wanted to, but I'm only going to forget it. It's
Right.
just one of those things, like those things don't stick in my brain. It doesn't matter that way. It's more patterns and colors and shapes for me.
Okay.
So,
That's
I,
cool.
so when I was in my 20s, like my late 20s, a girl I was seeing got me piano lessons as a birthday present. And I went to the piano lessons, and this guy was really trying to teach me how to, like, more again, back to like learning how to read music and all that stuff. And he would give me all these exercises and things to do. And the next week I'd come in and he would say, like, did you work on those exercises? And I would be like, no, but I wrote this song, and like play him a song. I didn't know how to play piano at all, but I wrote a song. And he'd be like, okay, that's great, but like, you know,
It's like that's not what I told you to do.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
I know. I get it.
that's what my mind, that's what made me happy and what I wanted to do. So yeah, I didn't last very long at that. I wish I would have lasted longer, but
Oh, my aunt lives in Durham. She teaches piano.
it's a possibility. I might go back to vocal lessons first. So I
She
did
does
that
that
for
too.
I did that for a while, and it really helped. It was great. But I haven't done it for. I did it for a little bit when I moved back to Durham, but I haven't for a while. So
Well, technically, like her business isn't like teaching that. She works with autistic kids. She's a music therapist. But
okay,
when I was younger, she taught piano lessons, singing guitar lessons, and vocal lessons. So kind of on the side, she still does it. So
cool,
I know where to send you. I got your hookup.
sweet.
Um, uh, so I also going down the rabbit hole of the band. You guys did an EP in 2021 as well.
Yep, that was
Um,
that was the first thing, and that was all self-recorded. And
oh,
then
okay.
I sent it to a guy named Bob Giovanetti in Alpha, New Jersey, who was used to play keyboards in a band with me back in the day, and he's got a recording studio, so he did the mixing, but we
Okay.
self-recorded it. Yeah,
Yeah, I took the journey down that a little bit.
it's fun. I
So,
haven't listened to it for quite a while. Yeah,
well, I found one album on YouTube, and then I found another one on Spotify.
yeah.
So you guys
It's
were
they're both
two different
on.
places.
It's difficult to find them together, and I think the reason is because the service I used to get the EP out there is not the same one that I used to put the full album out. So it
Okay,
like put two different things out there, and you know,
I see.
next
Yeah,
time I'll keep it. We're actually getting ready to go in and record another EP, so
oh,
we're just
that was
trying
on
to
my
work out.
list of questions.
Yep.
If you guys had any, future plans in the works for a new album to come out,
Yeah,
as far as like,
we're hoping to do it in the next. I mean, start recording in the next. We haven't gotten a date yet, but in the next month, we'll uh,
oh, okay,
we'll go in the studio and get it recorded. It won't be a long process to do that, and then figure out mixing and all that.
And
But
then
hopefully,
when
I'm thinking like January.
January, okay. So when you guys go to release that, is it going to be in a digital format only, or will you have like physical copies that you can take with you to shows?
I haven't done that yet. I keep thinking about it. Probably the only reason I haven't done it is because I don't have a turntable. You know what I mean? If I had one myself, I think I might. I stream everything.
And then that's our cars are only built for streaming anymore.
Right, right.
I just bought that
And I,
new
I mean,
my
I had,
Kia.
what's that?
Like I just bought that my new Kia in
Yeah, right,
February, and it only has the capability for Bluetooth. But
right.
I have a car that has a CD player, so we still buy CDs in my house. I'm
I
also
had,
big on buying records.
I had probably like maybe 50 or 60 LPs when I was like, I don't know, I was probably like 25 or so. And at that point in my life, I was just moving a lot, like apartments didn't last real long. And so I just moved. It seemed like I was moving every year. And I got sick of carrying all these milk crates of records around. And I didn't have a turntable anymore. And I literally threw them all in a dumpster on one of the moves. Yeah. And then I had at one point, not that many years after that, like 500 CDs. And the girl that I was with through like my early 20s, we split up and split and then I went down to like 250. And then when I left Durham to move to New York, CDs were sort of
On the way
not
out.
really. I didn't listen to CDs anymore. So I had hundreds of them, and again I threw them in a dumpster. I couldn't take them to New York with me. What was I going to do? Put them in storage? You know?
Yeah, okay. I mean I
So
get what you're saying, and our life has kind of evolved in that way
yeah,
where there's certain points of being minimalistic, I think, that comes into play, where they're calling it progress. Let's we're
we
say,
thought CDs were going to last forever and be like the greatest sound in the world, and now people
I
go, albums just sound so much better. You know?
right, we've made this like comeback
But,
to the
right.
vinyl, which I never had. I had access to as a kid growing up, but I was buying cassette tapes when I was a kid, and then
Right.
I moved into CDs, and then the streaming. But then just in this last year, I started buying vinyls again. I'm like, no, I want these.
I would like to. I don't know. Part of me is just like I don't need nothing to spend money on. I got to buy guitars and stuff, and
I get
so but
that.
we may get some LPs for the EP or some EPs made hard copies, and I may, if I'm going to do that, actually get some for the full length album as well, and
Okay.
maybe I've thought about it. I haven't
Like
decided.
test the waters, kind of
Yeah.
to see if it's a thing. Yeah. I,
Yeah.
at some shows I work at, because I work at Motorco Music Hall downtown in Durham. And so at some shows, I notice that they come in with vinyls and nobody buys them. And then there's other shows where they come
I
in,
think it's hit or miss, just like T-shirts or posters or anything else.
stickers. I love
Yeah,
stickers.
yeah.
I always am over there at the merch table being like, do you have stickers?
Hmm. I've been trying to contact a local company about some T-shirts, but they haven't gotten back to me yet. So I want to get
How?
some T-shirts made because that's another thing I never got around to doing.
I can give you some information.
Cool. All right.
We had to have 2 t-shirts made on a super short notice, and I called around and nobody could get it done for me, and a lady in Cary got it done.
Wow. Cool.
Had them done and ready for me to pick up 2 shirts the day we left town, because we were going out of town and we needed to be branded for the first time that we were going to be out in public promoting the podcast.
Oh, cool. That's
And
hard to
she
get
got it
two
done.
shirts made up. Just
Yeah,
to
and I was like, I just need 2 right now. That's all I need. And she did it, and it was less than $50. I'm
wow.
very happy. So yeah, I can send over her information to you later.
Sweet.
So she was awesome. Um, off track here.
Mhm.
um, and also, we kind of talked a little bit about how you share a drummer, and how does that? Do you guys kind of like build your shows around that as well? Like if you're like, oh, hey, we have this date, and then collab with the other band. Because I saw on Facebook that there's been a couple times that you guys have had shows together.
Yes. Yeah. Um, you know, when, you know, it, it's tough. Sometimes the other bands are playing gigs. Sometimes it just depends on the gig. I mean, whenever I try to like get out to see as many bands as possible, and because you don't want to keep playing with the same people every
Right.
all the time, so you want to spread it around a little bit and get, we did a thing at Slim's in Raleigh not that long ago and met a cool band, and so we're doing another thing with them, and it's always just try to mix it around. It's also who's available, you know.
Oh yeah. I do.
And
I
I,
hear
I
that a
try not.
lot.
Well, I try to like stagger things. So like if we've just played with a band, we're not going to book like 3 gigs in a row with them. So if you
So do you
played with someone, a lot of times it's sort of like, okay, now we wait a couple months at least before we sort of schedule something else. You know,
okay.
it's not a
So
hard
do you
rule or anything, but
yeah.
as a
Do you
general guy,
work with
yeah,
sorry. Do you work with
huh,
like a promotion company, or do you just do all of it yourself?
I do it all myself, and it's terrible. And I don't think I'm very good at it either. It's a lot. It's a lot of work, and yeah,
So how do you balance that with the rest of your life?
just I don't know. When it needs to be done, it gets done.
That just
I'm
seems like a
lucky enough.
lot.
I'm lucky enough with what I do too, like that. I have very very busy periods. I have sort of status quo periods, and then every now and then I'll have like a slow period for a week or so. You know, so that gives me some time when I'm really really busy and I'm about to come into like my first quarter sort of stuff that I have to do. I'm about to start that, so then I'll be very busy for 5 or 6 weeks. You know.
I know. I build my own schedule as well, and sometimes I have to be like, wait a second. Do you realize what you just did to yourself?
Yeah. Right.
How's it all gonna fit? So that seems like a lot to try to schedule all of that.
Yeah. It gets done though.
I hope that you
Mm,
schedule yourself downtime
I do.
in that mix
Yeah.
too.
I'm pretty good with that.
Some staycations.
I don't know about that, but I'm very good with like every morning I meditate every morning and like just sort of getting myself into the day so I'm prepared and don't turn into a jerk. You know, just helps me stay on an even keel. And I've been
I
doing
don't
that for 20 many 20 almost, yeah, 20 some years, more than
I was
that,
gonna say I think
probably
I've been
25
known
years.
like
Yeah.
been in the kind of the orbit for a year and a half now, and I don't think I've ever seen you in what I would consider like a cross mood even.
No, yeah, well, it's funny. Like sometimes on the weekend it will be busy and like got things to do, so we'll be out running around. And I'm just like tense and like short with everything and yelling at everybody when I'm driving. Uh, and like Deanna will be like, you forgot to meditate this morning, didn't you? And I'm like, yeah, I know, I'm sorry. She
You
can
know,
tell. She can tell right away.
sometimes the drivers around here are
Yeah, it's hard.
awful.
It's
They're
not
just
just
awful.
that's a whole other subject.
Yeah, they are awful. So, do you guys have like a favorite venue that you like to perform at? Because that goes back to like I noticed that you guys stay very busy. It seems like you have a lot of Friday and Saturday gigs
Yeah,
throughout the years, and you've kind of done Carborough, Chapel Hill, Hillsborough, Raleigh, Durham. You make a big kind of circle in the area. Do you have like a spot that is kind of like you're like, oh, I really enjoy playing at that venue?
There's a bunch of them. Um, lately we haven't played in Carborough, Chapel Hill as much. Although we played at the Cave, which is always fun. And the Carborough Music Festival was great. We had a really good. That was fun. Um, we played Cat's Cradle right before the record came out, and would love to play there again, the back room, because that would probably be like it's just awesome. It's just
Oh,
awesome
okay.
sound, everything. Big
I have
stage,
not. Yeah, I
great
haven't been to
sound.
that one yet.
It's awesome. Um, and we always liked, a lot of like station and stuff like that, but that's not around anymore. So,
Oh,
yeah, we're trying to get into more places around Raleigh or Durham, Chapel Hill, and I've been trying to get into Raleigh more, just to sort of expand the area.
okay.
And we've done
And then
Slims a couple times. Um, trying to do Neptune's Parlor. Yeah. So, yeah,
okay.
I think the favorite
Uh
is Cat Cradle, but everybody would probably say that.
oh, I'll have to go check that one out. I have not. I've not. I
No, we've also done um, some different stuff that's not so like down in Pittsburgh at the Mod. Can be really
okay.
fun. It's
I
got a
can
bit
see
of a
that you.
built-in crowd. It's people are pretty engaged. It's good. And like
Okay.
we did the what is it called, the box yard. We did
I
that
did
twice
see
this
that.
year and twice last year, and it's fun. It's a different gig than we're used to, but it's kind of fun, and it exposes you
That's
to people who normally wouldn't. I think both of those places, in particular, expose you to people who normally wouldn't come out and see you. You
hmm,
know, and we've had people come see us after that, specifically because they saw us there and came and talked to us, and you know,
okay.
so that it helps.
Hmm, that's cool. Yeah, the box yard is like a half mile from where I live.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I've always been like I should go check that place out, and then I always
yeah.
end
It's
up
fun,
at a shift at Motorco.
and
So,
there's some good food there, everything.
do you guys see yourself kind of expanding your area kind of outside of this a little bit more? Since I know that you kind of have one member that comes from out of town a ways.
Yeah, um, we've talked about it, and yes, we would. I mean, not like crazy, but I don't ever see that happening. But we'd like to maybe Winston Salem, Greensboro, a little bit, even Wilmington,
I
which would
know
make
a popular spot in Greensboro is Hangar, is
the
it
Flatiron.
1618?
Oh. Yeah, I just started really looking again. I know there's a couple places there that are pretty
Yeah,
good.
it's several bands that I have followed for a while end up
Cool,
playing there. So I'm like,
cool.
I need to go see that place.
Well,
um,
we got invited to do some stuff in Winston Salem by a band that we played with at Cat's Cradle.
hmm,
But we just haven't been able to put it together yet. So one of
I
these
love
days.
that though.
Yeah,
That's what
that's the
we
way.
yeah,
Yeah,
and that's what I tell people when I'm out and about and I meet them. I'm like, the goal of this podcast in the long run is to create a community where artists and promoters and venue managers can all kind of come together
right.
and be like, hey, wait, I know a venue in that area, or let me ask this promoter, or you know, what if we got together with this other band? And that's what it's kind of about for me, is building that community of people that can all
Well,
just come together
that's
to play
good. We need
music.
people doing that. We do.
I love I love to sit and talk with people about their music journey, kind of like where they've been. where they are, what they see in the future, like what do you guys see in your futures?
That's a tough one. I mean, I just, I it's hard for me to think anything beyond like just writing the songs. You know what I mean? The band is the thing. It's the like the eventual outcome. But to me, like just from my personal side of it, as much as I love that, it's like I got to keep writing songs. I just want to keep writing songs and get better at that. That's kind of the number one goal. And then just keep playing gigs with the band and like I said, the collaboration and all that. I feel like we just keep getting tighter and tighter and tighter and just play together better. We kind of know what to expect from everybody, and you can start to maybe anticipate where things are going to go. So, yeah.
And you guys do exclusively your own music, or do you do covers?
Almost all of our, when we
Okay.
do those shows where we have to cover almost 3 hours, we throw in maybe 6 cover songs. And then occasionally there are a few in particular venues or situations where we might throw a cover in.
Do you have a favorite?
Do we have a favorite? Well, we haven't played it for a while, but we used to play. We played "What's So Funny About Peace, Love, and Understanding" pretty regularly, just because it's fun to bash it out. But I think probably the favorite, and it might be if you asked everybody cover wise. Um, there's a band from Canada called the Tragically Hip um, that I loved. Very few people in the U.S. know them. They no longer exist, although they just put a documentary about them out. It's on Netflix. And the singer died in 2016 or 17 from brain cancer. Um, but I just heard one of their songs one day and I thought, that would be really fun to play. And the band didn't really know anything about them. And I sent them the song and we learned it. And I think it might be everybody's favorite song now, cover wise, that we play. And the interesting thing, what I said to them when we learned it was, um, no, we play this song 10 times, and 8 of the times nobody's going to know what it is. But
Right.
2 times, somebody is going to freak out in the audience because that band was so huge in Canada. And it happened the first time we played it. There's just people and there's a lot of people from Canada here. So, yeah,
Oh yeah.
it's kind of fun to
I
get that reaction from them. You don't know what to expect. And they're listening to your music or whatever, and they're into it. And then you start playing this song, and they're just like, what is going on? Why is this band playing this song? This is the most amazing thing. So, yeah, it's a lot of
I
fun.
wrote it down, so I'm gonna have to check it out. I do. I have another house that I clean on a regular basis, and they're from Canada.
Yep.
And boy, does she have some stories to tell.
Yeah, the Research Triangle Park and the universities just, I've got several friends that are Canadian here. So, yeah.
Turkey. Um, I think we have gone through all of my questions. Sorry,
Awesome.
my son has decided to come in and he's telling me that I'm on the clock now.
You're on the clock. Time is up.
Dinner.
Oh, dinner.
Dinner. There you go. That's even more important.
He's like, dinner's in there, Mom. I know, honey.
So
I didn't put it on there. Here. There.
I think I needed the
Okay.
third key.
Give me.
I'm gonna use all of these keys.
Okay, give me 10 minutes.
Ow! I smashed my head.
Oh, he's so full of it. Even at the end of the day, he's so. How did you guys? I always have to ask parents' voice. How?
Yeah.
How did you make it through that phase?
There's other phases with girls, I'm sure. So
I feel like at the end of my day, raising 3 girls was nowhere near
Really.
raising one boy.
I had a friend years ago who had a 14-year-old and a 10-year-old daughter, and he said that his wife and him, or he, his wife, and the youngest daughter, or he and his wife referred to the youngest daughter as the one who doesn't hate us.
I
The 14-year-old,
never, yeah,
insane.
like I never went through that with my girls until like the youngest one was like maybe like about the time that my son was born. There was a moment where my youngest daughter was like, "Urgh," she wasn't the baby anymore, and then we got through it and things went back to smooth sailing. But
It does. I think it always does. Just takes time.
Like his energy level is so much more than all 3 of them combined on a day of sugar highs, where I'm just like, whoo, breathe deep. Let's go for a walk.
Right.
It's crazy. But where can people find you? I found you guys on Facebook. Are you on any of the other things?
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram. We have, our music is on all the streaming platforms, pretty much everyone, some that I've never even heard of. And it's on YouTube. And the website is BrotherKent.com, or is it BrotherKent Music? I'm forgetting right now. Yeah, I think it's BrotherKent.
I just typed in BrotherKent earlier and it popped right up for me.
Pretty quick. Oddly enough, yeah. You'd think there'd be more, but.
Okay. I want to tell you, thank you so much for giving me the time to sit down with you and
Thanks for inviting me. It was fun.
Hear a little bit about where your music comes from and where your journey has been and where it's going to go. And it's been a lot of fun to get to know another side of you than what I see every couple of weeks when I come in.
And I'm working likewise.
Right. Normally I just see the door. But yeah, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. And we'll see you soon.
Oh, yeah.